Happy Friday. Thanks for joining us. Igor and Anu here at Vinousreverie Wine Merchant out here in Walnut Creek, California. This is our show for the adventurous wine drinker.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're doing something that's never been done before. We're doing Facebook Live and Instagram Live.
At the same time.
Well, it hasn't been done before by us, so.
Yeah, all right. So we'll probably have some technical difficulties.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
All right. Anyways, so thanks for joining us. This is part of our November series. We're tasting Thanksgiving-friendly wines, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is Bonnaventure. It's by Chateau de Coulaine.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is an excellent wine. This is a Cab Franc. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, well, let me talk about Cab Franc. I think we'll jump about the family and this particular cuvée a little later on. But Cabernet Franc, I'll just read off some facts. So it's the parent of Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay.
And it's mostly made in the Middle Loire Valley in France. So Anjou, Touraine, that region. And we have a map coming up, so in case you guys are excited.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's one of the 20 most planted grapes in the world, but it's mostly planted in that region. It's also one of the Bordeaux varietals. So you have Loire, and then you have in Bordeaux.
It's used in blends.
Yes.
Okay.
It's mostly comes in cool climates. It ripens early, and it's a light to medium body. A lot of cool climate grapes are in the light body spectrum, it's light in color, and it has a really nice fragrance to it too. Frequently, it has bell pepper character.
Yes.
That's some people like, some people don't like. One of the interesting aspects about this wine is that it was actually one of the people who wanted it to be planted in the Loire Valley is Cardinal Rochelier.
Okay, and we don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, so we need somebody French to tell us.
Yes, but if you guys, he's the actual cardinal, but he's kind of claim to fame is that he was the kind of the bad cardinal in The Three Musketeers by Alexander Dumas. So
yeah. Well, I can give a crash course too. He
yes.
was the chief minister of Louis XIII. Because I was like, when you told me the Cardinal Rochelier, I'm like, I don't remember this from history class. So yeah, he was chief minister to King Louis XIII. He's a master politician and diplomat. He was known as like the great, manipulator behind people of power, behind the throne. And he's the one who actually, they think, made France a superpower in the 17th century. So.
And do you know any factoids from the book? Cause
yeah, I did quickly do a download. We do have the book there. It's quite large, but
no, we have a different book.
That's a different book?
That's a different book.
I didn't look at it. Obviously, I didn't read the book.
Yes.
So, I don't really think we need to get into it. He was, the sinister character, trying to manipulate people towards war in The Three Musketeers. So So that's the connection. So Cardinal Rochelier, he was kind of behind the planting of Cab Franc. That's how we're tying it back. Okay.
All right, yeah. So this Cabernet comes from a Chinon region within the Middle Loire. It was at one time Cabernet Franc. It was called the Wine of Kings. And a lot of wines are called wines of kings. I know Cabernet Sauvignon is called the wine of kings. I know Nebbiolo is called the wine of kings. So they have to kind of fight it out and decide.
This actually has a crown on there. Just saying, on the label, it has a crown. So I mean, I think that's pretty solid right there. It has the crown on there.
Yes. So, and we have a little factoid about Chinon. So the most famous person from Chinon region is Rabelais, a famous humorist. He was a monk, a real Renaissance man. So that's the book you were mentioning. It's,
good, you have it. Let's zoom in.
A little book, if you guys, if you guys have like your afternoon reading, it's only 900 pages. And I think probably half of them are footnotes, so you know how easy.
Okay, so what was this author famous for? Since I didn't do research.
He created this book right here, Gargantua and Pantagruel. So it's a very bawdy humor. It's
toilet humor.
It's toilet humor.
Okay.
He's the creator of toilet humor.
Okay.
And the term gargantuan. It comes from this book. So I think a lot of people heard that term, but probably don't even know where it comes from. So it's such a pop culture term that's been around since 1400s.
Okay.
So he's creator, and he's one of the first creator of the what we call the novel term. Before that, novels were kind of books or written word were done in different ways.
Okay.
So he's a Renaissance man, one of the most famous writers of the region. And in fact, the two characters in the book, they drink wine, and it's Chinon. So it's the wine from the region.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so that's kind of the connection.
Tangent number 2.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, so Chinon, it's a refreshment wine, light to medium body. Everything Chinon is Cabernet Franc. The grape. So it's kind of overview of the two things. So I don't know if you want to taste it out right now.
Well, you can taste it. I've been working on it already.
Yes.
And you can show off the color of the wine probably for the camera much better than my glass. So yeah, I tasted it. So go ahead and have a little sip. It's not as light as I think I've seen some Cab Francs. They go even lighter in color.
Oh, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
I think everybody's
can
probably
no?
eager to see the map.
Okay.
Where Chinon is. So big purple circle with a big arrow there, right in the middle of the Loire Valley. So Loire Valley is on the western side of France, going from Atlantic Ocean towards the
Did you just pronounce it that way?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's written on the map.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah. Sorry for the interruptus.
Okay. All right. Where was I? Tasting notes. All right. So, well, you taste it, and I had it, and it's definitely Cab Franc. There's bell pepper notes. You can taste it right away. It's really nice. It's got some plum, wild kind of herbs. It's bright. It's complex. It's got a nice long finish.
Yep.
But it's nothing, overwhelming, and kind of like other foodie wines that we've been tasting all month in Thanksgiving time, in preparation for Thanksgiving. It's high acid, low tannin. That makes it versatile for the Thanksgiving table. And, you can literally pair this with anything. But I think I would go with kind of herb dishes for sure. So anything that's herby and goat cheese, I think that would go really nicely. That's just my humble opinion. And this wine, it's $24.99, and it got 92 points Wine Enthusiast. So I think for the price point, that's a very respectable critic rating. And I know I like this wine. It's good for the price point.
Yeah, and I think, I want to go like in another tangent about the points, because we frequently offer the points, and to me, when we offer points, it's kind of to kind of showcase that it's a quality wine.
Yeah.
But a couple of days ago, I actually came across an interesting article from Hugh Johnson. So Hugh Johnson is a British wine writer. He actually co-wrote several wine atlases with Jancis Robinson.
Okay. Our favorite wine critic. Yeah,
yes.
British wine critic. Yeah.
And he in this article, he was basically stating that he thinks scores ruin wines. It's actually, there's actually a YouTube, you probably could go to YouTube and search for that, where Hugh Johnson and Jancis Robinson, they kind of discuss Burgundy versus Bordeaux. That's the two regions that kind of typically battle each other out. Burgundy is Pinot-based wines. Bordeaux is the Cabernet Sauvignon-based wines. So it's like light-bodied wines versus full-bodied wines, and the two most famous regions in the world. And during that discussion, he also brought up the fact that he doesn't believe in scores. And Jancis countered, and she said what I agree with between the two of them, is that she thinks scores is a necessary evil. So in this article, I printed it out, and the 100-point scale, some people,
common,
it's common,
but Jancis doesn't use that scale. She uses something else,
But it started by Robert Parker. That's kind of one of his claims to fame. Hugh Johnson was just saying that sometimes when he tastes a wine, he couldn't give a score to it. He's kind of saying that, I can't distinguish it. Like when you give me a wine, I can't put like a number on it, which is what the critics are doing. And then he's saying that it's an American system where in America they're trying to make everything consumer friendly. So it's part of this kind of mass market that Americans are doing. It's like, 93.1, it's good, like 82.1, not good, even though nobody ever sees an 82-point wine. But
I think that people kind of want to see 88 and above. You don't market it if it's below that.
And then he says the critics, they basically give their personal opinions masqueraded as objective and absolute. High scores affect prices, and they affect winemaking methods. So the first thing, I don't agree with him. I don't think any critic says that their personal opinion is objective truth. I think he's. Oh, Craig joined. Hey,
Hi.
nice to see you, Craig. You were able to join today. All right. Shout out. All right. And the second thing, yes, Robert Parker. A lot of people in the industry, they say that Robert Parker is very influential, and a lot of winemakers in Bordeaux, in the Cabernet country, and in Napa, another Cabernet country, they try to change their winemaking methods
to please him.
To please him, which is high alcohol, fruit forward wines. So yes, that's a true statement.
That's the influence on winemaking. That's obviously not.
Yes.
That's good because he's one person.
Right. So I think, but to counter them, I think there's three things that kind of when somebody looks at the wine, you could taste all the wines and then decide what you like, which is like 5 million wines. Right, so it's, that notion.
I'll get started.
That's absurd, right?
Yeah, you can't possibly.
Yeah. So the second option is you could have the wineries or the distributors kind of sell you their wine. So to me, whatever you think of it, I look at it this way: it's in their self-benefit to promote themselves. So they're saying, "Oh, our wine is so good." It's like, well, yeah, you're saying that because you want to sell it. And they can do commercials. They put themselves in magazines, put pretty labels on the wine. In fact, I think, from my observation, I think a lot of casual consumers, they look at a price point and a pretty label, and that's the decision point for the wine. And I think many people buy that. And if you kind of think about it, that's kind of a little absurd too. You're buying wine of what's outside the bottle versus what's inside the bottle.
Right, and I think actually the other thing I've noticed about that is winemakers and wineries that are small and upcoming, like upcoming rock star wineries that are just getting started, they don't have the resources to market, to connect with distributors, to do the kind of sales techniques, whatever, to get out there the way that their larger, corporate owned or mass produced.
I think that's exactly it, and I think that's the point that Hugh Johnson kind of misses, and he himself, over his career, has kind of promoted Bordeaux.
Right.
Well, I'm kind of loving wines from the greatest mountains in Madrid. I know Jensen has wrote about him. I don't know if I never heard Hugh Johnson mention that.
Right.
So, he himself is enabling the big, powerful wine players in this world. So that's my third thing. To me, the third thing, hypothetically speaking, the critic is not getting paid by the wineries. It's an expert opinion
that they've gone to school for, that they've dedicated their life towards, studying and working towards. Yeah.
So it's not just an opinion; it's an expert opinion. So there's an expert portion, and then there's opinion. It's not expert fact; it's an expert opinion. So you could decide whether you like it or not. But if somebody drinks, let's say, just Napa wines all the time, right? So they're maybe an expert on Napa wines. But what if they never had wines from South Africa? Hey, South Africa is making great wines right now, and nobody's drinking them.
Right, and I think that that also lends itself to when you're used to one kind of flavor profile or terroir, and you try something else, you're like, oh, that's totally different. That's not what I'm expecting. Yeah. And maybe you say you don't like it, but you haven't really given it a chance. So. Well,
and the other thing about it is palate development.
Right.
So not everything's going to be an epiphany. A lot of times, a lot of people admitted it, even professionals. They're like, you start out with like sweeter wines, then you want fruit wines, and then you kind of venture towards earthy or balanced wines. Mm-hmm. So, but if you keep drinking, like fruit bombs, then an earthy wine would be like a palate shock to you. It's like somebody just hit you in the face because it's going to be so different. Yeah. So you have to kind of give them a chance. You have to find out about them. And I think his method, I think, is actually anti that, because then it's going to be dominated by the big power players promoting what's in their best interest.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that points are helpful depending on the critic. We have a critic that you trust, whose opinion that over time, as I taste the wine she recommends, I agree with mostly.
Yes.
So I think they're good benchmarks. I like them as a guide. Especially I look for what wines Janssens has promoted. But I think recently we had a wine that Janssens Robinson gave a score, And I was like, no, I think this is much better than the score she gave her this wine.
Yeah.
I wonder if she needs to retaste it because the review is a couple years old. Or, she's also conservative with her points, which I also appreciate because I would rather be, surprised by a wine that she's given a rating rather than like, oh, disappointed. Actually, I think it's less than the rating she's given.
That's why I kind of pride myself on the geekiness of the store, and I think I look for the best wines in the world based on those things. And I kind of going back to the argument that he was making. If you gave me a blind test of a 93-point wine versus 88-point wine from a particular critic. Because sometimes one critic could give it 88 and another could give it 93.
Right.
I think it's a topic we could discuss.
There's a lot of topics we could discuss. Yeah.
But I think there's a difference between 88 and 93, and I think I could tell it. He's probably right. I probably won't be able to tell the difference between 93 and 94-point wine.
Right.
But 88 and 93, I think
it's a big difference.
Yeah. So.
Cool. All right. Well, tangent number 4, 3. I don't know which one that was.
Yes. So I think this is a fun one. I think we quickly gave the facts. I think tangents are kind of more educational frequently than facts.
Right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed them. Well, so we had another excellent Thanksgiving wine. So give it a look if you're interested.
92 points.
Which, as I always say. Anyways, thanks for joining us, Vinousreverie Wine Merchant. We're doing live shows every Friday at 9:30. We think that we have the best wine store in the world. Maybe, definitely in the East Bay, perhaps in the world.
And we have Tom join us too. Thank you, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it.
All right. See you guys next week. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Have a good one. Bye.